I'm Christian. I'm working for BLIC and working for BLIC now since 9 years and already 4 years in South Tyrol as well, mainly for STAR. Patrick Diaco was already mentioned, and together with Roberto Cavaliere as well from Neu. So within our projects, as we already know as well, the Open Data Hub of South Tyrol comes along all the way for us. So Roberto asked me to have like a brief overview and a sneak introduction what is happening in the rest of Europe with in regard with the open data hubs, especially open data hubs in the mobility sector. So what we experience that the demands of people placed on mobility are changing quite rapidly. The way people want to get informed is different as well. It's more to the idea of giving or getting answers to questions I have. So like big search engines already leading the way already. Thus, in addition to customer touchpoints, the requirements for the data and the understanding of data changes as well, or has to change as well. So that's what I want to address today. To do this, I would like to get a use case to take you to a journey. So let's pack the backpack and go. But where do we go? What do we do? So, and that's the first use case for the Open Data Hub as well. What do we want to do with the time budget we have, with the money budget we have? We want to get as much information as possible. But wait, no, we don't want to have the data. We want to have the information. What is the most comfortable way for us to do? So let's go on holiday. Let's say we want to see as many attractions as possible in a different city. Where to find a hotel? Of course, it's always the availability of the hotels, but still it's where is the most strategic point for me to have the most comfortable way to the most time efficient way. Having open data hubs, the idea is to link data, as much data as possible, to get the answers to the question the customer only has. I would like to invent a solution. So since my pocket device doesn't have a solution, I want to do it myself to get the best outcome, the best strategic way of my hotel. The idea is to create value for myself as a customer, but as well the region where I do ask this question will add the value as well. Since we created a value for the individual as well as the providers in the region, I would think about, okay, where to find the data? How does the data look like and what I have to do with the data? Let's keep to the mobility sector because this is my topic actually. And we got exactly this question we have quite a lot. So we went to the mobility operators, the PTOs, or the authorities, the PTAs. And in the last year, most of them were saying, whoa, wait a second. I'm afraid. And then we asked, okay, why are you afraid? And then they said, if somebody else has our data, they will control us, they will complain with us, they will take our business away. And then I said, why this? And the only answer was, because there's a missing framework, there are missing regulations. We already heard that there are license models, what to do and what you're allowed to do with data. But in the past, there wasn't any regulation set. Then I asked the mobility operators, okay, so you want to get this idea and share this information, but they said that's not their core business. That's not a core business of a mobility provider. Getting more information than the mobility sector, linking them and getting more and more answers to several questions. The same question the EU Commission as well, and so they invented funding programs such as the Rural Smart Areas, no, regions, and they also came up with a delegated regulation, the one you see on the up left corner, the 2017-1926. And I dealt with quite a lot with this. What does it say? Actually, it just says if you have the data and if you have the data, you have to make it available in one central access point. If it comes to countries, it's called national access point, as an open data approach and via standard interfaces. In the mobility sector, we are quite privileged because we have these standard interfaces. When it comes to other sectors, it's much more open. And the delegated regulation also had like steps how to approach this. In 2019, we started with the plant data and the so-called NETEX interface. NETEX is the network timetable exchange data, meaning timetable data. The second step was, or is in several countries, the provision of real-time services. So there's no data because, for example, the operators are not obliged to share real-time data, but we offer real-time services like OJP, Open Journey Planner RP. Actually, the Star and Neu are involved in some project of this as well. That's meaning that you have journey planners connecting to each other and sharing part journey trips, linking them together to offer a transnational journey experience for the customer. And the third part, the third step is like King's Speech, it's real-time data via Siri interfaces. And actually, that's the point we are right now, how to get this information shared. Since it's a EU regulation, several countries in Europe, like Austria, France, Netherlands, UK, former EU countries as well, has these national access points. But I want to highlight 3 examples. The first is Udin. It's the Nordic countries. It's Scandinavia plus Estonia, which are having a Nordic platform for sharing mobility data. They are offering it in several interfaces, from proprietary interfaces to GTFS and the European standards as well, since it's based on the EU regulations. As well, they are sharing OJP with the EU Spirit interface, connecting the Nordic part, France, and Germany. The other OJP part is coming to Switzerland, is because Switzerland is also sharing information services via OJP together with STAR, so with South Tyrol as well. But via another profile of the OJP, it's the Linking Alps profile. Coming back to Udin, because they are very ambitious, they also said we have more goals. So we want to keep an eye on KI, so the intelligence. And they want to develop a chatbot, so they call it automated customer dialogue in customer contact centers. And the main goal is to create a two-way communication journey planner. So that comes to the idea the customer is not asking from A to B for a trip, it's asking for an experience, and then the app will take part for the mobility part of the answer. Already mentioned Switzerland with Open Data Swiss. In my point of view, they are one of the most open country when it comes to sharing data. So the Open Data Swiss is not only mobility, but mobility is one big part. There's sharing several mobility data like timetable, real-time data, OJP, as I mentioned, and even more proprietary APIs. And since they are that fast in doing this, they are the leading part for when it comes, for example, to Siri interfaces, so real-time interfaces. And the third example I want to address is Germany. As you see, there are several bullet points. I want to get closer to two of them. First, it's the Federal Railway Company, the Deutsche Bahn, with the open data portal. I want just to go ahead because they're offering quite a lot of data, for example, malfunctions of elevators. But most of them are proprietary, so it's hard to understand what to do with the data. The second is Open Data ÖPNV. That's an initiative of 8 big public transport authorities, which are sharing real-time information, timetable information, really with an open data approach. And this is leading to Delphi and the German National Access Point. Delphi is the gathering of the states in Germany when it comes to mobility, to public transport mobility. And Delphi is the implementing body for the National Access Point when it comes to mobility data. And here we have two different steps. The one is the timetable data. The timetable data was published in 2019 with several interfaces, several APIs. The one which was obliged was the NETEX EU Spirit, the NETEX passenger information profile. Then we have the VDV, like the German interface, and also GTFS. When it comes to real-time data, it's even harder because there is no standard Siri interface for the EU profile. And as well, there are, transportation acts which are not in force already. They will come in force in the middle of next year because today the PTOs are not obliged to share real-time information data. And as I said, they are quite afraid of sharing them. But in the middle of next year, this will change. And for this, we also are in a project connecting all real-time data hubs in Germany, meaning 15 data hubs plus Deutsche Bahn plus several other mobility providers to connect German nationwide the real-time information. And then in the end of next year, when the project is finished, to put them available, make them available for the rest of the world as well. And this will be a huge step for Germany. Since we're developing Siri profiles, EU profiles as well, I'm quite interesting if this will be only the German profiles or if this will be Siri EU profiles as well. There was a very quick and rush through the examples we have, but I want to have the essence. I want to summarize. What do we learn from all these the Open Data Hub projects? First of all, as I just mentioned, we need the acceptance of the data generators. How to get this acceptance? We have to set transparent rules, transparent regulations. Even if we have standard interfaces, by sharing the information, we still have to precise these interfaces. And we have to set what is allowed to do with the data and what is not allowed with the data to do with the data. Still with the idea of offering the broadest idea of using the information. Second, one of the most important, I would say, is that we need to have regional quality assurance and coordinations. We have to make it sure that the availability of the data is correct, and that can only be with a source. We have to have a right understanding of the data. Somebody has to explain what is meant with this information. And of course, the failure tracking. And as well, the consistency of the data and the harmonization of the data. And then you see efficiency, flexibility, scalability, and performance as well. With the pyramid, you see this is 1 day of data, of timetable data, meaning 115 gigabytes, including more than 1 million trips a day, 2,000 PTOs through Germany. And we learned that just giving the data in such size doesn't bring any success. So you have to be able to slice the data in the portions you need it as a developer. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So, for example, when we put up the NETEX EU passenger profile with the German national access point, we just give the data as such. But first after the to slice the data, we slice the data, meaning every state in Germany has its own package. The data was used and the data was required from the NAP. And then it comes to performance and stability and scalability. This is only for public transport timetable data. When it comes to real-time data, which is a data stream, this is much more information. And as well, if we see what are the objectives of each project, there are different objectives, of course, because the status of each Open Data Hub project is different. But still bring it in common. It's all the projects will want to bring together relevant data for the mobility sector, such as public transport, timetable, and real-time data, but also parking data, sharing services, autonomous services, on-demand services. And all this by the overall goal of providing a proper basis to offer services by linking several data, not only mobility data, as we had with the example of the weather, of the accommodations. We want to have to offer the basis, and then somebody else, perhaps we don't know, will use this data, will link this data together intelligent, and then raise the comfort of our customers, attract new customers with the service. And for me, I would say the most important goal is not to attract new customers, but to bring down the amount of energy consumption over the whole mobility sector in general. That's the most important goal I would say we have to face today. So saying that we want to close this session and have a quick question and answer, and then have a coffee break, I would say, and perhaps I mentioned this too less in this session, we have to start regional, and there are a lot of approaches, and I think in South Tyrol there's quite a lot of efforts and pretty good success, I would say. But still, the vision is that smart mobility solutions act on a global level. So we have to provide relevant, digital, understandable, open data and services on a regional level, and then put it on a bigger scale and do it global. Well, let's say continent-wide. Only this way we find new solutions and new opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian, for sharing with us this global view, and I think you prepared the stage for Patrick De Jaco, who will then drill it down to South Tyrol after the coffee break. That's wonderful. Let's see if there are some questions from the audience for Christian. Any questions to Christian? We shouldn't have said that there is a coffee break. I have a question. You mentioned a lot of data hubs. So you see this development of data hubs all around Europe, or especially in Germany, where you are based and where you are doing projects with. Is it similar to what we are doing in South Tyrol? Do you see some differences on the approach we have in South Tyrol? What is your impression on this?
So first of all, I think, or I know we are on a pretty good way, but I think we have to face the challenge when it comes to real-time data and real-time information. If there are standards and there are precise standards, that's a way, but still we have to handle the amount of data and data streams and interpretation. But if there is no standard set, and for example, in tourism, I'm doubting that there are several standards for connecting the regions. This will be the biggest challenge, I guess, you have to face.
So the challenge, in your view, is data streams, and we are today dealing with descriptive data, also a little bit real-time data, but the data is growing and becoming fast data, and that's the challenge we have to face in the future. Is this correct?
As well as the how to say it, the standardization, the understanding of the interfaces. If there are no standards, I think it's going to be hard to connect several regions or even several provider and project partners. But because the effort to understand the data, to handle the data, if there is no standard, that's a very big challenge.
Okay, so there is still standardization needs in the real-time data, in the stream data, things that have been solved in description, like timetable data, have to be tackled now on this part, as far as I understood. Yes. And also the metadata are not always telling the whole story, probably. So that's another
yes,
challenge.
Indeed.
Yes,
indeed.
So thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us, and hope to see you soon here in South Tyrol. Thank you. An applause for Christian.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.